Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody who is tuning in to listen to us live for the next episode of the business case for AI and blockchain. My name is Irina Karagyaur, and I'm very happy to see you here today. And I'm also very, very excited to present you our guest for today's episode. My guest is Eftal Eficinar, Chief Strategy and Partnership Officer at Coral, which is a sustainability AI-led platform that also uses blockchain. And in today's episode, we're going to learn more about the business model of Coral itself, how Coral can support your business and corporate reporting on sustainability, as well as, of course, as usual, we're going to dive into personal story of Eftal, how she came into sustainability and the blockchain space. So please welcome Eftal on stage. Hello,
Good
Eftal.
afternoon, Irina.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good. I'm very glad to have you on the show live. And greetings from Dubai, where both of us are based at the moment. So today we're also going to talk about one of the topics that we always raise on the podcast, the geography, the region, the benefits of doing business in the region, and the state of sustainability in MENA, which is very, very exciting because we were chatting backstage with Iftal about the right moment of time and the right place to be. So a little bit more about this further down the road. So Iftal, first things
It's a
first.
pleasure to be here with you.
Likewise, Iftal, I was really looking forward to our episode. I would really love you to tell our audience your story. How did you get into sustainability in the first place? And how did you start working and why with Coral, which is a startup in AI sustainability and blockchain? Please, over to you.
It's a very weird story, and I love storytelling. Like, be careful that I don't take it very far. I studied international relations, and when I was studying international relations, my father was in energy business, like very conventional oil and gas and geothermal business. And energy was something at my home speaking all the time. So, but of course, like I was hearing more and more about the scarcity in energy, like how it is important in terms of the supply, how our life is very dependent on within the technology to energy, and what we can do to make it more clean and in a good way. So with his push a little bit, I made a internship and I joined a gas pipeline that has more like international stages. And I started to taking from there, like energy take me in, because I realized that it is the main resource we need, and it is going scarce, and we need to do something. That's how I entered. And then from there, for I think around 12 years, I worked around energy decarbonization of the industry. I always worked with the engineers, hard tech. Then I left a very conventional way of working with a big corporate and joined to a royal family member here for accelerator, I would say, for companies around climate tech to come over here in UAE and set up here. I have supported a lot of startups to come and set up here, and that's where I got more engaged on the water, waste, food, and the deep side of sustainability matters too. That's where I really understand that as human, we have very specific needs, and those needs are not going to change in the future. And this world is not there anymore to answer those needs. So unless we look at from the human needs perspective and find out to transform our ways to supply our needs, like shelter, like energy, like food, like water, whatever it is, a lot of things will be scarce and we will have a very big trouble in the future. So I don't think sustainability is about like loving the flat planet. It's like very nice and fluff, etc. But it is existential, and that's what I have in my heart. So working in the last 16 years with climate technologies, I know that the only way that we engage and manage that is the systemic approach that all the players work together. So coming back how I joined Coral is I had this admiration to new technologies and support to startups, but I realized that I have always worked with corporates and governments and non-governmental entities, internationals, and look at the startups from outside. So I said, if I'm going to learn and keep supporting them, I need to be inside of it and see the real pain points. That's how I joined Coral, actually.
That's very exciting, Iftal. And how do you find this difference between working for international corporation, like on big, long projects, and now the pace of a startup?
It's whole different world, I can say, because like they both has pros and cons. Like in a big entity, you are secure, you are always supported, you have your funding, you have your support functions, everything is working like a part of an ecosystem, but it is so slow. You come up with amazing ideas, but like getting it to an investment committee and taking a decision, taking an action on that topic is taking nearly 2 years. And in today's world, 2 years is like eternity. And when you work with the startup, it's always fast paced. Everything is like moving here and there. Puzzle pieces are changing every day. You start with an MVP, get the customer feedback, say that, oh, I have an idea. Let's move these in this way. And you can do that daily, literally, change everything. And it is so fast paced, so agile, and so tailor made to everyone's journey, but at the same time, time is a very, very important essence. And resources are very important because not always you get the best support functions, not always, like you need to wear different hats, like as a chief strategy and partnership officer, I'm wearing a lot of hats, and it is changing from day to day, from week to week. And if you don't be fast enough, then that is going to be a survival issue in a startup. So whole different world.
Very fast paced. So speaking about that, can you give us a bit of a background on Coral, when the company was established? Why? What is the reason? What is the problem that Coral found on the market, that gap that you are currently closing?
Sure. Coral has been founded by tech people. I think that is the major difference that we have than most of our competitors, because when we look at the market, everybody sees that there is a need, because sustainability processes, especially compliance processes, are too complicated and requires automation. But automation is not that easy because none of the data is straightforward. So you don't take a classical data and serve it in a different way. You actually take it, rationalize it, process it, mix and match it with a lot of stuff. So everybody knows that there is a need, and generally sustainability consultants are doing these kind of products. But when you look at from their perspective, they always look from the lenses of the consultants. They are not tech experts. Generally, they are taking tech from outside as a solution or as a service. My co-founders, like Coral's co-founders, are coming from like AI, blockchain, and crypto world. Like they have been in the tech for a long while. They know SaaS, how it works. And when they are going through this process, when they are moving from Hong Kong to Dubai, they meet up with the carbon world and sustainability world. And the first idea came up actually as a marketplace for carbon credits, but because they were more expert on blockchain and they see the value of usage of blockchain with the carbon credits and keep the traceability high, etc. But when they enter to the market, they realize that there's a bigger problem until coming to the carbon credits traceability. The bigger problem is that there's so much fragmented data here and there, and there's like very, very limited ways of putting that together. And everybody, including very, very big companies, they are still working on Excels to do that work. So when they realize it, they started like using the machine, because we have an amazing CTO. He is working with the biggest AI minds for a long while. And he processes everything that he's hearing in a way of AI language. Like recently, when he showed me the background of the platform on how our agents are processing the data, I was like so amazed because like when we look at the ChatGPT, which become recently very core of our life, there are a lot of hallucination going on. But when I saw how Coral agents, I think I don't know how much we have now. I think we have 6 agents or 7 agents. When I see how these agents are processing, they are literally working like a team with a very specific parameter. So because it came from tech people, they know UX and UI very well. They know how to build a product, how to use all these like blockchain and AI technologies in the best way to serve the customer. So I am the sustainability person inside of the geeks, basically.
Congratulations. That is a good achievement, surviving tech people. As I come from the tech space, Web3 space, kudos, because it's always not an easy job to do, but very, very challenging and exciting and rewarding at the same
Believe me,
time.
it's very interesting actually, because all my life I actually worked with engineers, but I worked with like technicians and people on site working on like machines and like hard tech actually. This is my first time working with IT and AI world, and it's a whole different world, I can say.
And we want to dive into that a little bit more, Eftal. So Coral is a platform, claims that it is able to reduce reporting time and cost by up to 95% using AI. So could you walk us through this AI models work and where the most efficiency gains come from? So if I am a chief sustainability officer in a corporation, I have this task to monitor my emissions of my company. I come to you. What is the benefit you can offer to me to make my life easier?
Sure. Let me start more on the umbrella structure. We try to pull everything a chief sustainability officer might need in an organization, especially from the compliance perspective and decarbonization roadmap. So the system has been designed like a sustainability technology enabler. It's like modular, and it's very plug and play depending on the needs of the organization, and it can be tailored very easily because it is AI native and agents are working in the background. When you fine tune the customer needs, it's highly responsive to the needs. So let's start from carbon side of the conversation. It is the toughest part in terms of the data. So a company, when they are collecting the data on carbon, they have so many data points inside of an organization. They need to talk to different departments, different people. Sometimes they need to collect data from sensors. Sometimes they need to collect data from invoices. Sometimes it is handwritten notes or Excel files that people put together. Sometimes they are putting surveys together to collect information from their employees. So pulling all this data is taking so much time, and there are very strong human error factor inside of it, because actually a lot of people are putting this data together and someone is putting them all together. Generally, companies are working with the consultants. So from this perspective on, we started thinking, backwards and said that like, what would a chief sustainability officer need? That's how we created a project management module. In the beginning, in our platform, you design your company information, but it's not like a conventional tech. In a lot of conventional tech, you need to have a consultant to set everything up in the background, and when you change a little piece in the background, you need to have that tech people to do it. Our system is like very easy to use. At first, we create the company parameters, and you set the boundaries, because boundaries are very critical in the GHG emission calculation. Whether you have that company operational, whether you own that company as an equity, it changes everything in the calculation. That's why, like, after you set the company and the users, you use it as a project management tool in the beginning. And then after you set the parameters, you can dump any data into the system. You can even bulk upload or connect to your APIs so that AI gets the data. After AI gets the data, it mixes and matches, rationalizes everything in the system, and gives you the outcome. When giving you the outcome, it's full auditable flow, and you can look at like what is the amount, or what time periods, what is the methodology, which emission factor is used. So you will have full data set calculated. This is where the actually optimization comes from, because normally someone needs to check all these invoices one by one, put to Excel file, mix and match and rationalize it with the emission factors. That's where AI works the best. That's where the most timeline be safe. And then you can take out this data in any way. You can take a data table, or with natural language, you can have your analysis, you can have your charts in any language, in any color, in any structure. From there, you can also collect supplier information, because for Scope 3, you need to reach the external people and collect some data from there. You can directly do it from the platform. You can set your GHG emission targets. You can look at your future risks and calculate the decarbonization planning, return of investment and investment needed for each action. So this is the roadmap for the emissions. And last stage, if you need to purchase an IREC credit or a carbon credit, you can also do it from the system. We are very credit agnostic. We work with the internationally approved registries and marketplaces to curate something specific for our customers. And we trace them back with the blockchain, so that it also gives a very strong auditability to the layer. And this is what we do only on the carbon side.
Right, so I can collect all of my invoices, whatever shape or form. I need to digitize them, right? So if I have a piece of paper, I will need to take a photo and upload that on the platform. So just upload everything on the platform, and you give me a calculation of all of my emissions for a specific period of time. And then the blockchain comes in only at the point when I need to purchase the credits, right? Or is there any other, so would like my emissions be verified by the blockchain? Would your platform be able to say, verify, okay, this company really went through all this process, and then at the end has this amount of emissions, and here we have a record on a blockchain that verifies that?
So for carbon emission calculation, actually all calculations has the methodology and how it is calculated with references. So, but we don't do the verification, because actually calculator cannot do the verification. Calculator and verifiers need to be different entities, double checking each other. But if you're asking our internal process, we have one of the agents does the verification after all the calculation is going. Of course, it's not an official verification. We can stamp that out, but actually it's process-wise, it's important for us to be sure that like all the data is right. In there, we don't use blockchain. We just show them the methodology, and someone can come in, look at the platform, and do the verification very easily. On the carbon credit side, though, when our customer purchased through platform or somewhere else, when they retire the carbon credits to match their emissions, we generate a certificate from the system where it shows the official registry certificate and the blockchain trace in the same page in the moment that it is purchased and retired. So that when you trace back years later, when an auditor comes in and trace back what you have done with the carbon credits, they can trace everything back with the blockchain.
Thank you, Tal. That's a very comprehensive explanation, because often general public, and we have in the audience also startup founders, somebody who's just getting into the sustainability space. It's often very confusing. There's a lot of jargon in sustainability, what to trace, what emissions belong to what scope, what do I need to do on a personal level. And in our previous episode, we actually had blockchain carbon research institute that issues this independent research on also blockchain networks and infrastructure, and we learned how complex these processes are, and it is very important.
You mean on carbon credits, right?
Just on general emissions. So like there was this big conversation around Ethereum when it was proof of work, Bitcoin's pollution when it was proof of work. So then there was a transition to proof of stake, and a lot of companies, basic infrastructures, became not pollutant. Their emissions reduced dramatically by nearly 99%. So that really kind of put blockchain industry in the right place to support sustainability projects, because you could be sure that you are minting your NFTs or transacting on a clean technology, on a base that is by default sustainable. And that's what I was advocating for years, that if you want to build a sustainability company, you need to make sure that the pillars on top of which you're building your application infrastructure, it must be green from day one. So you can't build on do your calculations but then use a system that is not clean or opaque. Like in the case of banks, we've discussed that many banks claim that they are carbon neutral, but how do they prove this to the general public if they do not use blockchain in order to verify all of their transactions? So there is this transition now to conventional industries and to companies like Coral that are disrupting these industries, and actually disrupting in a very soft way, because you are giving them the tool to calculate their emissions and then to purchase carbon credits that are already on the blockchain. Because a lot of carbon markets, they were not transparent. So you sign a paper, you purchase some kind of credits that nobody really knows their origins, and you cannot verify where that comes from or how you use that, or did you overused what you've committed to, underused, and if you don't use, what would you do with those credits that are remaining? Now you can sell them on the marketplace using blockchain technology. Prior to that, there are all these transactions that nobody was really aware of. So in your opinion, I would like to get your take on how blockchain, how do you feel, to what extent, because you've spent 16 years in sustainability industry, do you really see the impact and the promise of the blockchain delivering that transparency and accountability? And I'm also very curious, since you talk to clients all the time, what is their perception? Are they ready? Are companies ready to become transparent and accountable, or there is still a long way to go?
I will answer this in two different ways. The first one, Irina, is I'm a little more easy on that front, because I think we are in the stage that we need to appreciate the effort. Because everybody has an intention to do something, right or wrong, in a best way, or maybe 70% best way, but at least it is a will and trial. And we need to clap the transparency, because most of us, like most of the industry is trying to do something without even knowing like what they are doing. Internationally, all these like processes and regulations are very vague. Like there is no globally accepted one methodology. That's why a lot of companies are using 5-6 different methodology to be sure that they are compliant with a lot of them. That is creating an additional layer to everything. But for me, as long as they are transparent, they are making the effort, and they are taking action, I believe that that needs to be clapped. That's first. And secondly, I think blockchain is giving this a very, very strong layer to transparency, because until this point, a lot of like carbon emission calculations has been done, and they were always in an Excel files. In terms of traceability, you need to go back to the last year's calculation, but with one digit, everything can change in that calculations, and nothing really actually 100% transparent or auditable in those systems. Like you just like look at the manual work over there. I think consultants did amazing job on that front. I'm not saying that they did wrong. They did everything best they can do. But now when we have these technologies, when you trace everything out in AI and blockchain, you will be able to go and count reverse and look at the back and see what has moved in a good way, what hasn't moved in a good way. Everything is comparable. You are comparing apple and apple, not apple with pear. So that's how AI and blockchain is going to give a additional granularity and positivity in the process. When you ask me if companies and industries ready to use it, I think 50-50, because the big ones who has been doing this for years, they see the value very strongly, because they are even excited to translate everything to AI and blockchain to streamline it, because by using this, they will get back their time, and those time can go to strategy, those time can go to implementation, and we can really make a difference on that. But 50% of the market is still tentative, because they don't know how to use it, they don't know where to start, they don't even know anything about the sustainability processes. So when they are entering, adding additional layers, AI, blockchain, and everything, it may confuse some people. That's why we try to make the platform very easy to use, speaking to the customer. Anyone coming into the platform can have enough guidance from the platform, even without hand-holding. Take action from the platform. We put the customer needs on top of, on the center of the platform building.
Thank you, Tal. This is a very refreshing perspective, because usually it's maximalism and like everything has to be sustainable, everything has to be green. No, we don't care about sustainability. So like Trump, drill, baby, drill. So hearing that, you know, in the sustainability space, there is an effort and there's actually very concrete way and approach to become more effective as a business and to also comply. So compliance is the next question I have for you. I'd like to touch upon regulations and ask you, how do you find regulatory environment in MENA and Europe or the US, compare the three of them, and where do you see more traction? Where do your clients come from mainly? And how do you feel about, you know, having Coral being positioned, having headquarters in Dubai, where COP28 took place, and many things have changed since then?
It's a good question, but a tricky question, because in the last years, a lot of change happened in the international ecosystem in terms of politics and regulatory. We all know that, and with U.S. change of management, sustainability become a very controversial topic. That's why, like, even though a lot of areas wanted to do their own regulations around that, a lot of companies was taking action on that. Trump has changed it very dramatically. I know that still optimization, energy, efficiency, and structure is on top of the agenda, but it changed the discourse, it changed the way it is communicated, it changed the way it is worked, etc. So they are not conventionally tracing the rest of the world anymore. When you look at the Europe, with CSRD and CBAM, they took very bold actions, but with the changing political environment and economical constraints and everything, they paused it a little bit. That's why the ecosystem players in Europe, even also tentative nowadays, they keep taking actions, but not as bold as it was in the past. But when you come to Middle East, you are seeing recently that like Saudi and UAE and all rest of the GCC are flagshipping this after COP28, even like right before COP28. And everybody is working towards fulfilling their net zero targets. Because I think what is important is in here, the vision realized that sustainability is not about environment only. It's about investment, it's about brand value, it's about efficiency, it's about future proof and future readiness. And a lot of organizations, companies are taking it from that perspective and investing to it. That's why, like, I'm so glad that we are well situated in the market, that it is mature enough to invest and have an interest on it. But at the same time, there is a lot of way to do for the optimization. And the recently taken regulation, coming regulation also proves that last year any federal regulation passed, and now companies are expected to be reporting their carbon emissions and decarbonization pathways. It came in effect by May. So we do expect to see this more and more on the region. Same for Vision 2030 for Saudi.
And how do you, in your role, support your clients with this, to prepare for the upcoming regulations? Do you provide consultancy? And also, I'm very curious to learn more about the improvements that you provide for businesses on the side of the revenue, on the side of the transparency. So once the company starts using AI for their sustainability reporting, what changes for them?
So we designed the platform very modular, so it can serve to custom enterprise customers. It can answer all their needs on their sustainability compliance, but also it can serve to small, medium enterprises who has no experience on sustainability at all. So we start small, we handhold them when we are onboarding to the platform. We have our consultants to help them to set their boundaries, look at what data to collect. So if a company comes in without any knowledge and without any experience on the sustainability reporting, that say that they want to calculate their scope 1 and 2 and design their decarbonization pathway, they can easily do it in our platform in 4 weeks. So we recently have very good use case on that. We will be publishing soon 2 case studies, for example, from real customers on how in 4 weeks a customer who has no idea about sustainability from zero to a very solid ESG reporting. What we are doing is we handhold, we streamline, and we enable them to have a real-time data from day one. So as soon as things are getting more and more complicated, they are ready, they are proven and auditable in terms of all these calculations. And system, when it is taking action, it's always cross-checking with what would be the risk that you are going to be bearing in the future if you don't take an action, what would be the cost of a decarbonization planning and transformation, and what will be the return of investment, how much you are going to do saving from that action. The system gives you everything clearly. So this is what I have been telling both Coral team and customers since day one, which we have achieved so far, is I really want Coral platform to sit in the board, work with the board members as a use case, and they use it as a simulation for proofing the future of the company while they are taking decisions about it. Because UE is very, very strong coming with the net zero target in 2050. And if you don't go with the flow, you may get extra tax, you may get extra fines not taking an action, you may create extra carbon offset fees if you don't take action. And on the other side, if you don't optimize your systems in terms of energy usage or heating, cooling usage or operational processes, then you cannot be competitive anymore. We are seeing this with CBAM, for example. A lot of companies from here region, they are trying to export to Europe. But with the CBAM, if they don't have the enough capacity to decrease their carbon emissions and make their products sustainable, they will have an additional layer of tax exporting to Europe, which means that their products are not going to be competitive in the market anymore. And everybody sees that and now ready to take an action in the market.
That's great, because as you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, that a lot of people perceive sustainability as some kind of high level, let's save the planet sort of thing, but it actually has now in 2025 practical implications on your business, taxes, extra cost, competitiveness. So all of these things have very tangible numbers to look at, and either they make a positive impact if you act on time with the right tools and you adopt the technology that is available on the market, and you are the first mover who uses AI, who uses agents, and actually is getting into this game, because a lot of people believe that it's either temporary and it's just a bubble. Other people think that AI is just going to automate everything and magically replace humans. But the truth is somewhere in the middle, that we are with this technology today, and it is very important to understand it, to learn it, to master the tools and build new skills, and as a company to adopt these tools to your business model, as it will give you a competitive advantage sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I find it very normal actually, Irina, because like when we look at the industrial transformation, it took like nearly 100 years for that technology to come and change the ways we work, we function, etc. But when you look at the history of AI, what we have come through in the last 3 years, it disrupted everything, and it will disrupt everything even more. So I really understand the people who are afraid of it, who thinks that they are even late to catch up with it, because we are a very interesting generation. Like we saw everything analog. We went to digital, now we are going AI. God knows what we are going to see next. But I think it's all about resilience. It's all about flexibility. And if you find a way to work with it, if you use it, if you implement it in an ethical and useful way, that will fasten you as a company, as a person. They will not take over the mission over you. But if you resist, then they can really take over your place, because the new generation coming will be very gadgety and very used to using AI. Like there are 15-year-old children building platforms with AI, like creating amazing businesses with AI. Like we were not born into that world. So I understand the resistance, but at the same time, we need to find a way to handhold and grow together. Otherwise, it's going to be a catastrophe.
Well, fingers crossed. We are in looking into a bright future, right? And this is why we're having this conversation here, to educate and empower you and your business with the right tools. And Iftal, I always ask on this podcast one very important, personally to me, question about decentralization. So AI, often many companies use hyperscale data centers. AI is known to be held in the hands of a powerful few, but I know that Coral is using local solutions when needed for data storage. Can you give a little bit of insight on that?
So actually, like we have different models depending on the customer needs. For now, we are working on the conventional ways, like with Microsoft Azure or like AWS or the global networks. But what we are doing it like depending on where our customer is stated, we can put that data and keep that data in that, and we actually neutralize the data from personal information so that there's no data leak, there is no cybersecurity issues. We behave very, very carefully. But if our customer is willing to invest or they have their own data centers, local data centers, we are trying to accommodate that and keep the data in their system too.
So there is the opportunity for the customer to run their own nodes and to have their own data storage and not depend on any major infrastructure provider.
True, but it is expensive, I can say.
Well, okay, let me start the debate. We're live. Now starts the interesting part of being live. The hyperscale data centers are known also to consume a lot of water and a lot of energy. And they're not very efficient, they're not very effective. And also, we end up as consumers pay taxes for supporting these large organizations. So this is why I personally always advocate for decentralized AI. There is now a movement of decentralized AI, and it's already proven that community-run projects and data centers managed by the communities are more effective and more efficient. And there are projects for, let's say, telecom that service remote villages that have no access to major networks and internet providers. So they manage to set up their own small ecosystem and be sovereign. Because sovereignty, again, in Web3 and the blockchain, is a very important topic. And we're very early, as we're discussing here in the AI developments. And I do believe that there are ways to make smaller servers and smaller data centers much more cost effective. But no one has really looked into that, and no one has really compared. Well, now we're starting to see articles popping up on Substack for businesses to look closer at what the OpenAI is doing, how much they're really consuming of water, electricity, and how much profits they're actually taking for a single company. Whereas that, if that's not a profit for them, that can be actually converted to a greater good and support for the community and investment in, let's say, desalination, because we are in the UAE here, water has always been a challenge to address. And they've come up with a technology that filters marine water and makes it drinkable. And it's very, very, very cost efficient, actually, because I recently learned that a cubic meter of water in the UAE costs much less than in the US. So the future is indeed bright. And I do believe that there are companies who can provide this service. And by the way, if you know these companies, drop us a comment down below. We would love to have them on the show and dive deeper into the storage issues and decentralization. Eftal, on this note, I would like to transition a little bit and go back to Coral's business model. And you fundraised, so you are currently in the seed stage, correct? So would you be
Yeah,
fundraising?
Irina, before going to that, like I just wanted to add something else related to product, because like all this discussion long, we always talk about the carbon layer of the discussion, but there is also a societal and governance layer of the calculation, because like compliance does not end with the environment. With the sustainable development goals and global ecosystem, you also trace like your societal impact, you need to trace your governance, governmental impact. And from Coral, you also have modules for that. You can report CSRD, GRI, ISO, and CBAM through the system. And AI helps you to generate the qualitative data too. And you can dump your data fully, and it makes you reasoning. So you can also in one click generate your ESG reporting from the system. I wanted to add this up because generally, because the main value is on the data collection, we always forget this fact, and I don't want them to think that we are only carbon focused company. Sorry to disrupt your question if you don't have
That's
any
right.
question
Thank
on
you so much
that.
for this, Eftal. If we want, if somebody watching us wants a demo, can they book this with you? Can you walk them through and how they can book this on the website, contacting
Of
you?
course, like they can go to coral.li, or they can contact me from LinkedIn whenever they want, and we can easily book a demo, and we would love to show them how Coral looks and what we can do to help them.
Fantastic. I hope that we are going to hear a lot from you, because this is a unique opportunity and the project is in the early stage. So take advantage, because early stage projects give much more attention to their customers, because they have this growth stage, attention stage to you. So you're going to benefit to be among the first ones to try the most innovative product on the market. And what I'm hearing gets me very, very curious. So
You know,
yeah,
like
Tal,
it's really right. Like one of our, we are also working with consultancy firms and engineering firms who are giving sustainability services to their customers, because it is optimizing their own processes to serve, because they are actually charging the human hours. Like with the same team, when they are serving to one customer, they can serve to 5 customers with Coral, for example. We were talking one of them, and they made exactly the comment you have made. Like, yes, we have customers. Yes, we have very good use cases. The platform is working perfectly well. It's not that we are very early stage, but at the same time, our attention time is higher than the very big players who has been in the market ecosystem for a long while. So when we are talking with this partner, they told us that like the conventional platforms, they are not good enough. The ones that are very big and they are very capable and strong, you don't get attention. You are not big customer for them. You are not interesting for them. And for company at our stage, you have all our focus, and we would love to make it work. We try to situate ourselves like your sustainability tech enabler, and try to do everything in your own way and streamline your usual processes with the AI, so that you get to have the chance to have it use first time in the market and transset for the market actually.
and Eftal, based on this, who is your ideal customer? Can you describe me like in industry? Would it be commerce, aviation, somebody
Everyone.
who I would say, but somebody who can get your solution and basically take off, like based maybe on your experience that you already have a data set that makes this operation like so seamless. Is that possible? And what are the other industries or verticals you're looking at that will be interesting for you to work with, also because you would improve your product internally based on their feedback?
Like, frankly speaking, we have 100,000 emission factors in the system, and it can answer needs of a lot of sectors. And of course, like the biggest solution we provide is when the data gets complex. So hard to abate sectors are there, like industry, steel, cement, whatever, like also automotive production. We are recently working with real estate companies because actually their challenge is very strong on embodied carbon, because actually they don't have anything when they are doing the construction, but they need to foresee how much emission they are going to generate and how much more they can decrease it by using alternative products, more sustainable products on the process. We are working with retailers because their biggest challenge is collecting data from here and there. They have so many touch points. They need to streamline that out. We are working with logistics to reasoning their processes. Again, for them, data is extremely critical. We are working with crypto companies, data centers. Who else? I already told retailers. So basically everyone who has sustainability as a challenge in their processes can get help from us. We already have use cases for the sectors that I have mentioned, but the others also can also join us, plug and play very softly. We are also defining models for oil and gas business, which a lot of sector components are alienating them. Because we know that sitting with them, trying to improve their processes, improve their operationals are also equally critical to shift the discourse around that.
Absolutely, this is a great topic to touch upon because some old oil and gas companies are already transitioning towards energy companies, so they're adding renewable energies to their scope, and this is actually enforced in Europe due to the recent regulations and climate pact and a lot of pressure that is coming also from the lack of energy in Europe, the lack of natural resources in Europe, such as oil and gas, and dependencies on the geopolitical situation are creating this need for companies to rethink how they approach their energy mix. And there's a lot of conversation around hydrogen, so this would be also a useful exploration for them to reach out to you and see how they can optimize and automate their reporting processes.
Exactly, we would love to help them.
And Neftal, going back to my question about
Yes.
Coral's stage and investment, if you could give us a bit of insight on how much you raised, when did that happen, is if there is an opportunity to join the next round, and how investors should subscribe to you or keep an eye on your updates, and also a bit more on the use of funds and how the company is growing.
Sure. We have raised seed round last summer, 2024 August, 3 million seed round, and all that money has been deployed on the further development of the platform and increase the scalability and outreach of the platform. So at the stage we came in, we have a very strong run time and a very, very strong product. Our pure focus is to increase our market. We have a very good sales pipeline, but as you know, that enterprise sales are taking a lot of time, trust building, nurturing, and making sure that they are comfortable enough to work with you. What can I say that our strength is? When we sit in front of customer, when they see the platform, it's very easy for us because our product is very strong and it answers any kind of need a sustainability officer might have. The tough part is sitting in front of them because there are like so many competitors in the market, and people are very tired of seeing different platforms, which are not always efficiently working, because it's easy to pitch a platform, but when you try to use that out, it's not always working. That's why, like, we did a lot of POCs and pilots in the last year. We have over 10 customers now actively working, and our pure focus in Q4 and Q1 is to grow the customer pipeline, so that, like, we can show to investors that this product is good and this product as a market has a good use case and scalable. That's why, like, at this stage, fundraising is not our priority, but early next year, we will be launching that process for Series A. And any investor who is interested in can approach to me, and I will connect them and keep them in the loop for the all investor updates. And when we are ready to start having a conversation, we would love to go back to them. So as I told you, our pure focus now is to extend the customer base and use cases of the platform.
And in terms of use cases, are you more focused on MENA region, or you're also extending to other markets? Is there a sort of
we are serving
Never?
globally. We have the capacity to serve globally, but in terms of sales of efforts, our focus is in GCC and Europe. In terms of the regulatory structure, in terms of the proximity, in terms of our networks we have. Yes, we do serve to Asia and US if the interests come through from those regions, but we don't outreach ourselves to the customer on that.
Well, we have a lot of audience in Europe. Please, yeah, that's your
We
opportunity because
would love to help them with their CSRD reporting and CBAM, prepare for the future tax and regulatory structure that is upcoming in Europe with Omnibus.
yeah, I again want to underline that this is live, and we are doing these shows to give you an insight on business models, on emerging projects in the blockchain and AI space, and also give you opportunity to become a customer, investor, or an active user and try this technology for yourself. But also, Eftal, we often have founders, aspiring entrepreneurs watching this podcast. What would you advise them as aspiring, from your experience working in corporate environment first, now already for all this time? There's like a lot of time, right, in the startup, but at the same time flies faster in the startup. What would be your advice for anybody who is launching a venture, especially in the sustainability space? What things to look for, prioritize?
I think there is no priority. That's what I can advise, because everything needs to be done at the same time. You need to have a very strong product. You need to have a very strong sales team to approach outreach, because outreach is taking a lot of time. And also you have a strong growing operations team and operational processes, because it's very, very important chicken and egg. If you don't have the product, you cannot pitch it out. And if you cannot pitch it out, you cannot nurture the customers. And if you don't have an operational process, when you sell, you cannot deliver, which we are hearing about a lot of our competitors from the last years. With some of the customers we are talking, they are saying that, we have implemented this platform, but that didn't work out. We have implemented this, but it was not responsive enough. So unless you have that capacity, you need to have a planning in that front, at least on how you are going to scale, how you are going to extend your team, how you are going to reach to more customers, how you can use and leverage partnership over it. Because you sell one, and if you have 5 partners sell 30. So you need to put the same pressure to sales and partnership at the same time.
Tough job, tough call for the sales. So what personal qualities do you find the most important when working under pressure? And one tricky question, what is your day like? What is your most important thing to keep yourself effective with positive attitude and responsive to the pace you need to work in?
It's extremely hard in a startup. I can tell you that even when I was working in corporate, I was pretty fast paced. I deliver fast, I work fast, and I engage fast. But this is whole different layer of fastness. You need to think about everything at the same time. There are like so many deliverables and a lot going on, and you are focusing on one thing, and two other thing comes in. So what my advice would be to prioritize the stuff daily, even like in the half of the day. Like you start today, look at the day, prioritize some stuff. And if some other stuff comes in, talk with teams and say that I used to have these as a priority. Do you think these new comings are more prior? So you need to always like constantly check yourself on what is really important, what is good to have, what can wait. I think it's the like think about it as an emergency center is in an hospital. Like you keep getting patients. You need to make it triage. In startup for your work, you need to do that triage every day.
This is a great advice, Eftal. We are at the end of the hour. It flew today because it's been absolutely fantastic, packed of insights. We've learned a lot about sustainability space, about your startup, about your journey. I'm very grateful for you joining our show today. And as a closure, I would like you to give the address to our audience, your call to action, any events you will be attending in the next few months, and where people can find you to learn more about Coral, and also where to follow you on social media.
So our website is coral.li. If you are a company or an organization or a governmental entity who is suffering with the sustainability data and spending so much time on the data rather than focusing on strategy and action, you can always drop your email through website or reach me from LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is pretty easy, linkedin.com/n/eftalefetchinaj. You just send a message to me. I'm always very responsive. Our team in the website is very responsive. We would love to walk you through with Coral and tell you how we can streamline your processes and how we can help you with. And even like if you want to talk about sustainability, I would love to voluntarily support you, and because I believe that the only way that we can act and we can be fast enough to this new world space is to support each other and have a systemic approach around things.
Thank you so much, Eftal. This was fantastic. Great having you.
Irina.
Dear all, thank you so much for joining us live. We appreciate your time and attention. Please do connect with the business case for AI and blockchain on LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Please follow Eftal and Coral. And if you have any questions, please do reach out to me, Eftal, Coral team, and we're looking forward to meet you at the next episode. Also, if you have ideas for a next guest or project that we should have on stage and discuss, please also drop me a line. Have a great day, evening, morning, night, and see you in the next episode. Thank you.